All right, I'm just doing a really quick review of a couple of different amplifiers. They're both kind of, practice amps in a way, but it's the Spark, this Positive Grid Spark 40, and the Boss Katana head, and they both have some similarities with built-in speakers and that kind of thing, but things really start to end there about what their capabilities are and what things they can do. So we're going to dive in a little bit of that, compare the two, and hopefully that'll help you make a decision on if you're looking for some kind of practice amp. Okay, at first glance between the two, I mean, they have kind of different, looks to the cabinets. The Positive Grid, it has a really nice kind of classic look to it that really lines up with, some older classic amplifiers, has really nice clean look to it, nice finish. The Boss Katana, has a more, it's more of a functional use, but, and it's a little bit larger because it's a more high wattage amplifier. And it is a true amp head that you would be able to pair with a speaker versus the Positive Grid doesn't really have a speaker output. You have to use the headphone output to be able to go to another cab, which if you use their Spark cab that they have, it does not it's not like a true speaker cab. It's more like a full range type speaker cabinet that you're seeing with some of the modeling solutions that are out there. So it kind of fits more in that type of category, but it does not work as a true head, but it does have a built-in speaker, and you can get some fair volume with it. So we'll take a little look at that a little bit more as we kind of delve into each unit. All right, right off the top with the Spark 40, it's got a fair amount of knobs on it. It's got some initial settings where you can get acoustic, bass, clean. It's got glassy, crunch, high gain, and metal. So you can kind of just off the top get some dial in a tone without having to dive into the app. Now the app is something you can load up on an iPhone. You can load up the app onto an iPad, and the feature set with the app is what's really cool, because the feature set with the app allows you to pull in some additional tones and set up your presets, and then you can also download backtracks to practice over. And that's what makes this unit pretty cool, is that it's really a true practice amp. And for its size, it's fairly portable, and it's fairly loud on its own, even though you can't really use it with an external cabinet or amplifier. But it's got some controls for effects, and you've got your overall output, and it's got a fair amount of overhead on the gain. I've used it with acoustics. I've used it with the bass, and they sounded pretty good. Acoustic is a little bit to be desired, I would think, but overall I think it works pretty well. And you can see here on the controls in the back, it's got Bluetooth connectivity. It's got the auxiliary output, which you would use to send the audio out to either for headphones or for another device. It's got a USB connection to be able to connect to a computer, and that's where you can download the software to be able to update the software on this device. And then of course you can also do that with the app, which is a lot more convenient. And then of course the power input. And you can see, other than that, it's a pretty tightly enclosed cabinet. It's got this carrying strap here that you can use to help carry it, and it's got these replaceable grills that I think you can actually get replacements for. But overall, It's a pretty clean, decent looking unit. I think the Spark Mini, like if you're looking for a really portable Bluetooth speaker, this or the Mini, I mean, I would do this before I would do one of those Marshall Bluetooth speakers that they have at Best Buy, places like that. You'll see them around. It's just a Marshall branded Bluetooth speaker and, meant for music. But I would get this before I would get something like that if that's what you're just looking for, something that you can haul around in the garage or move around the house into different rooms and just play music and maybe occasionally plug your guitar into it and practice. You can use the app for background tracks. So it's pretty versatile in that sense when it comes to being just a practice amp. I don't know if I would ever go with the cab thing that they have and use this as like a practice amp or anything. I haven't heard the cab. I'm not sure how loud it goes, but it's definitely not something I would use for recording. I probably wouldn't use it for any of those kind of purposes. But other than just a quick little, cheap practice amp that you can throw around and plug in and use pretty quickly. And this is the Boss Katana, and you can kind of see that there's, it's got some similar things with it. It's got on this top panel here, it's got your input and the amplifier. You can choose between different settings. It's got an acoustic setting. It's got clean, crunch, up to the brown sound kind of tone that they have. You've got gain, volume, EQ. You've got additional effects that you can adjust here. And we've got some presets, and then we've got amplifier wattage settings, which is what's cool about this is, if you're using this just for a little practice amp, this is where it kind of competes as a practice amp with the Spark 40 is you've got the ability to pull the wattage down a little bit, and you can use the internal speaker that's on this to be able to use this as a practice amp. But the cool thing about this is it also doubles as a really true amplifier. You can pair it with the Katana speakers. You can really pair it with any speaker. I've used it with the Celestions and it still sounds great. And you've got tone settings here that you can save in the presets. You can download the Boss software to be able to set up your presets. And then you can also use the internal SC controller, foot control, to be able to control it as a foot controller, which the Spark 40 really doesn't have, other than it's got sort of a new wireless device that you can pair with it and use it that way, but it doesn't have a true wired controller. Depending on what you're kind of do, if you're looking for something that you can just throw around and carry around and have a little wireless foot controller, then the Spark 40 would probably work in that regard. The other thing on this is the inputs on the back. It's got the USB for connection to a computer. You can update the software internally, and it's got your GAFC controller that I was talking about that you can plug into this, an additional expression pedal. It's got phone record out, and you've got your amplifier or cabinet output that you would go to external speaker. When you plug this in to an external speaker, it shuts off the internal speaker on this unit. So you wouldn't be using that internal speaker if you set this to say like 50 watts and then take this out to an external cabinet and use it that way. But it does give you that additional capability. So, in that regard, it's for this being a 100-watt amplifier and a very clean 100-watt amplifier, with some really good Boss effects in front of it. It's kind of really you have to think about these Katana units as they're not really amplifier modeling. They don't really do amplifier modeling in that sense, but what they do is effects really well. And then it's just a clean amplifier with a bunch of Boss effects in front of it, and the flexibility and capability of setting up some presets. And you know, so using some external peripherals like the controller, you know, you can plug in this controller and be able to get some additional use on top of it, and then to be able to select different inputs. So so that, I mean, that's kind of the difference between the two in a nutshell. You know, and we'll maybe power these up and get a little tone out of them. So another thing that really gives this the positive grid a unique kind of value is this UI is pretty cool as far as is how you can set up your different tones. You can set up a pedal chain, you can do, and it's pretty basic, rudimentary, but I mean, it really just gets the job done if you're just looking for something to practice. And the other thing too that's really cool is you can pull in these cool backtracks, and you can pull up songs to jam with. I mean, it's got just a ton of content, and so you can set up your tones and go and make some changes to the content. You can post stuff. I mean, it's as far as what they've added, where they've really added the value to this amplifier is using the app and the capabilities that are with that. And you know, it's really easy to modify and change tones. So you can grab something and start with it, and then make some revisions from there. And this is based on what the current settings are for the channels, and so you can go through and pick your starting channel to make some edits and add some different effects to kind of customize the whole thing. So it's really a pretty versatile amp with this when you add in the software. So the Katana app is, you do have an app for that you can use on an iPad or an iPhone, but you have a Bluetooth interface to be able to connect with it. So I don't have it set up, but I do have it to where you can download the software and use the software, which is pretty similar to the other Boss editing software with, but Katana has their own branded version with that, and gives you a lot more capability of setting up the amplifier. So it has a couple of different paths you can go with that, you know, as far as the software. But again, if you're sort of a new entry-level person, I think maybe the Spark is something that's a little more visually appealing and maybe more useful to somebody that's just kind of practicing in their living room or bedroom, versus if you kind of are up at that garage band level and you're playing with some other musicians, and you know, you want to do that that sort of rehearsal opportunity with some friends, then maybe the Katana is more of a appropriate amplifier to be used. So hopefully that is enough to give you help you with a decision between the two. If you're looking to if you're just looking for, maybe both might be the solution, because they both kind of have different feature sets, and maybe you just want a couple of amplifiers that you could kick around for different purposes. But they certainly both have some capabilities, and I think right out of the box, the Spark is probably easier to use overall. But the Katana has certainly a lot more feature sets that might kind of help you with some rehearsal environments, or even going out and gigging with. I'm not sure if the Spark really fits the bill for gigging at all, but you combine it with the cab, the Spark cab, it give you more volume, but still, it's even if you got the Bluetooth controller, I'm not sure if it's really usable in that regard, in a outside of just jamming, practicing around the house. All right, well, that was our review of the Positive Grid Spark 40 in comparison with the Katana, head, and hopefully that is something that gives you enough information to kind of help you make a decision on your next amplifier purchase. But and both of them have new units, new versions of the units coming out, so that means you'll start to see these older units become more used and available, and maybe worth looking into from a used perspective. You might be able to pick it up a little bit cheaper, but they're definitely worth something worth checking out, both of them. And you might find that you have a use for both of them, but they both seem to have some features that are inclusive to one versus the other, but they both do some pretty cool stuff. Thank you.